All right, let's take a deep dive into one of the most epic tales ever told, Homer's The Odyssey.
Ah, the
I'm
Odyssey.
going to journey with Ulysses as he tries to get home after the Trojan War.
It's a classic for a reason.
Think you know the story already?
Maybe, but we might just uncover some surprises along the way.
All right, so 10 years have passed since the fall of Troy. Ulysses should be home celebrating, right?
Not exactly. He finds himself stuck, you could say, on Calypso's island.
Calypso, now who's that?
She's not just any island nymph.
Okay, so then who is she?
She's a goddess, smitten with Ulysses, offering him immortality.
Immortality, I mean, who would turn that down?
You would think so, but Ulysses, despite everything he's gone through, yearns for home.
Home, or is that?
Ithaca, back to his wife Penelope, his son Telemachus.
So he chooses a perilous journey home over eternal life on a paradise island.
Exactly. It shows you how powerful the pull of home of family really is.
I can imagine. But let's be real. His journey home is anything but smooth sailing.
It definitely wasn't.
He faces the wrath of Poseidon.
Yeah, the god of the sea. He's furious with Ulysses for blinding his son, the Cyclops Polyphemus.
Oh, yeah, I remember that story. So Poseidon throws every obstacle he can at Ulysses.
You bet. Storms, monsters, you name it. That's where the real adventure kicks off.
So first up, it's those sirens, right?
Yep.
Those enchanting creatures who lure sailors to their doom.
Ah, yes. The sirens. Imagine their voices, sweet and irresistible, drawing men to shipwreck on the rocks.
Ulysses was warned, so what did he do?
He got creative. He knew his crew wouldn't be able to resist the song, so he had them plug their ears with wax.
Smart. But what about him?
He was curious. He wanted to hear the song too, but he knew the danger. So he had himself tied to the mast of the ship.
Wow, talk about willpower. So he could hear the song but couldn't steer the ship towards the siren.
That's right. It's like he recognized the beauty and the danger, that pull between desire and knowing better.
It's a theme we see throughout the Odyssey.
Absolutely.
So he survives the sirens, only to run into Scylla and Charybdis.
Talk about a tough choice. On one side, you have Scylla, this six-headed monster who snatches sailors from passing ships.
Yikes. And on the other side.
Charybdis, a whirlpool that could swallow a whole ship in an instant.
So what does he do?
He had to choose which horror was less horrifying. He figured it was better to lose a few men to Scylla than risk the whole ship in the whirlpool.
Talk about a leader's burden. He's always thinking strategically.
Always. But even the best strategies can't always outmaneuver the gods.
That's right. Ulysses can't totally escape Poseidon's wrath.
Nope.
A massive storm hits, shipwrecks him. He's left clinging to debris, totally the mercy of the sea.
He washes ashore on the island of the Phaeacians, collapses on the beach, stripped of everything.
What a stroke of luck.
It was. The Phaeacians were known for their hospitality to strangers.
So he's found by Nausicaa, right? The daughter of King Alcinous.
Yes, she takes him to her father.
And they give him food, clothes, a place to rest, a real break from all the hardship. But he's still far from home, right?
He is, and carrying the weight of his journey, the loss, the uncertainty. But for the moment, he's safe in the palace of Alcinous.
And safe with the Phaeacians who, as luck would have it, love a good story.
Oh, they do.
And they have no idea who they've just welcomed into their midst. They invite Ulysses to this grand feast and ask him to tell them about his adventures.
And Ulysses, being Ulysses, has quite a story to tell. Ulysses safe and sound in the palace, surrounded by the Phaeacians.
They're about to hear some tales that'll blow them away. They have no idea who he really is, this shipwrecked stranger.
During this lavish feast, a blind bard, Demodocus, starts singing.
Demodocus.
He sings of the Trojan War, the heroes, the battles.
Ulysses must have been fighting back tears, all those memories flooding back.
Totally, and he weeps openly.
So that's how they figure out who he is.
It is. The Phaeacians are stunned. This isn't just some random guy. He's lived through the events Demodocus is singing about.
What a powerful way to reveal his identity. Not a boast, but raw emotion.
It makes him human. Not just a hero, but a man carrying a heavy past. Of course, the Phaeacians are even more intrigued.
So he tells them everything.
He starts with the Cyclops Polyphemus. The reason Poseidon is so angry with him.
Right, the Cyclops. Back in the cave, the stench, the terror.
It's a brutal story. But Ulysses, he's resourceful. He blinds the Cyclops with a burning stake and escapes by clinging to the underbelly of a ram.
Oh man, what a story.
It shows just how clever he is, how he thinks on his feet.
But that's only one adventure, right? What about Circe, the sorceress who turns his men into pigs?
Oh yeah, Circe. Imagine that, seeing your friends transformed into animals right before your eyes.
How did he handle her?
with brains and courage. He uses the herb Molly, given to him by Hermes, to resist her magic.
So he outsmarts her.
He does, and forces her to change his men back.
I would thought she'd be furious.
You would, but Ulysses, he has this knack for turning enemies into allies. Circe actually helps him on his journey home.
He's not just a warrior, he's a diplomat, a strategist.
Absolutely. But then comes the underworld. Ulysses journeys to the realm of the dead.
It's a dark and chilling part of the Odyssey.
He goes there to seek guidance from the prophet Tiresias. Tiresias warns him about the trials he'll face on his way home.
He sees the ghosts of his fallen comrades too, right?
Yeah, even Achilles.
Yeah.
And the ghost of his own mother.
That must have been rough.
It shows the human cost of his adventures. The grief, the loss, not just for him, but for those he left behind.
He has to leave the underworld, but he doesn't give up on going home.
Not at all. He spends a year with Circe, learning at the dangers ahead. Then he sets sail again, past the Sirens, through Scylla and Charybdis. But then things go wrong. On the island of Helios, the sun god,
What happens?
his men, they don't listen to him. They slaughter Helios's sacred cattle. It's a huge mistake, and they bring down the wrath of the gods.
And Ulysses is punished, even though it wasn't his.
Another storm, another shipwreck. He's the only survivor.
Back to square one.
Yeah, pretty much. That's how he ends up back on Calypso's island.
It's like a full circle moment.
He tells the Phaeacians all of this, and they're completely captivated. They offer to help him get home.
Finally a break.
They give him gifts, and while he sleeps, they sail him back to Ithaca.
Wow, after all this time, he's actually home.
Almost. Remember, everyone thinks he's dead. His palace is full of suitors trying to marry Penelope.
Oh, right, I forgot about them.
It's not going to be a simple homecoming. Things have changed in Ithaca. After 20 years, he's finally back.
You'd think there'd be celebrations, a hero's welcome.
Not quite. Everyone thinks he's dead, remember? And his palace. It's overrun with these suitors, all trying to win over Penelope.
I can't imagine what that must have been like for him.
To come home and find it taken over like that.
Yeah, it's like everything he fought for is just gone.
These guys, they're feasting, drinking his wine, no respect for him or his household.
So what does he do? He can't just storm in, right?
He's got Athena, the goddess of wisdom, on his side.
Oh, right, Athena.
She helps him come up with a plan.
Oh, kind of plan.
He disguises himself as a beggar, goes into the palace unnoticed.
That's pretty clever.
It is. He can see what's going on without anyone knowing who he is.
He gets to see how loyal his servants are.
Exactly. Like Eumaeus, the swineherd. Welcomes him with open arms.
Doesn't even realize it's Ulysses.
Nope. And then there's the scene with his old dog, Argos. The dog recognizes him instantly.
Oh, that's sad.
It is. Argos is old, neglected. It's like a reflection of the state of Ithaca.
But Ulysses can't stay disguised forever.
He reveals himself to Telemachus, his son.
Father and son, finally reunited.
And together, they plan to get rid of the suitors.
What about Penelope? What's she been doing all this time?
She's not just sitting around waiting. She's smart, resourceful. She's been holding them off.
How?
She says she'll marry one of them, but only after she finishes weaving this burial shroud.
The shroud.
But every night, she secretly unpicks her work.
So she's stalling for time.
Exactly. But eventually, she has to give in. The suitors pressure her into having an archery contest.
What kind of contest?
Whoever can string Ulysses' bow and shoot an arrow through a row of axe handles gets to marry her.
That sounds impossible.
It is. None of the suitors can even string the bow. And then, Ulysses, still disguised as a beggar, steps up.
No way.
The suitors laugh at him,
I bet they did.
but then he strings the bow, shoots the arrow straight through all the axe handles.
It's like something out of a movie.
It's the moment of truth. Everyone realizes who he is.
So what happens next?
It's a battle. Ulysses, with Telemachus and his loyal servants, they fight the suitors.
It's pretty violent, right?
It is. It makes you think about justice, revenge, the darker side of heroism.
But there's this tender moment in the middle of all the chaos.
With Penelope.
Yeah, she doesn't fully believe it's him at first, so she tests him.
She asks for their bed to be moved, but Ulysses knows it can't be moved.
Why not?
It's built around a living olive tree. It's their secret.
Oh, wow, that's a beautiful detail.
It is. It's how Penelope knows for sure that it's really him.
After all that time.
And so, Ulysses finally reclaims his kingdom. Peace is restored in Ithaca.
But like you said, at a price.
The Odyssey doesn't end with a big celebration. It's more like a quiet sense of peace.
It's been quite a journey with Ulysses. We've seen his strength, his intelligence, his determination.
But the Odyssey is more than just an adventure. It's about home, loyalty, the choices we make.
It makes you think about what it really means to be a hero.
It leaves us with these questions about good and evil, the cost of revenge, the power of love.
It's a timeless story, one that keeps you thinking long after you finish reading it.
We encourage you to dive into the Odyssey yourselves. It's a journey worth taking.
And that's our deep dive for today. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning.
And keep listening.